Hi, welcome to the Buzz with Momma T. Wow, that came quick. How you guys doing tonight? You are listening or watching the Buzz with Momma T, coming to you live from Untouchable Productions studio here in McIntosh, Minnesota, housed in the same building as Little Bobby's Bar and Grill. Tonight, we've got a great show for you. We've got Michael Carbone, who is a band member of the Blue Wailers here in our area. And he also owns the Drummer's Journey shop. How you doing tonight, Mike?
I'm doing well. How about you, Tanya?
Well, there was a jam going on next door. We've got, I've got a guest coming on next week that just happened to stop by. And of course, they're all sitting in there jamming. You know how that goes.
Right.
So
well, I have drum lessons going on in the background for me. So if it gets loud, I apologize.
Oh, that's all right. So it's been a while, Mike, since I've seen you. Yeah. I wanted to thank you. I wanted to give you our sincere appreciation for loaning us all of the backline for the Women of the Blues Festival.
Right on. Yeah, I was happy to do it. Coincidentally, that same night, I had backline for Aortic Fire that had a guest drummer, Gina Schock from the Go-Go's. So, yeah, she's a rock and roll Hall of Fame drummer, and so it was fun. And then I actually drum teched for her that night.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, so that was a busy night.
I knew you were busy that night. I just don't remember what it was you were doing.
Right on.
So tell me about, first of all, let's talk about the Blue Wailers. How did that start?
Well, it started so long ago, it's hard to remember. The band's been together for 25 or 30 years. And it started out as a side project that I initiated with a good friend, Randy Shrink. And it was going to be a acoustic duet, and now it's a full electric band. It's come, a lot of changes during that time. But at that time, I had a electric blues band, Chicago style blues band called Warped Melon. And Warped Melon had been around for many years and recorded some CDs and, done a lot of great shows. But just wanted something a little quieter and for, smaller venues and stuff like that. So started the Blue Wailers. And then it's just gradually grown. And then after a few years, Warped Melon quit playing. Although we have some of the members from Warped Melon, Marty Olson, for example, are members of the Blue Wailers. So the Blue Wailers just sort of went from a acoustic coffee house type project to being a full band doing Chicago style blues, but we do some British blues and some Texas blues and some hill country blues as well. But we're a blues band. We've got one. I know I'm rambling on, but we've got one or two that maybe aren't blues. Like we've got one I wrote called The Bet, which is in honor of my brother, and that's a reggae, type feel. But yeah, we're roots all the way.
Well, it's okay to ramble on. I encourage it. We've got a whole half hour. You can tell as many stories as you want. I know you've got stories.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that first band, did you guys wrote your own music or were you a cover? You wrote your own music, right?
We did both. And the Blue Wailers does the same thing too. But and you know how this is when you're playing blues, even if you're covering someone else, it's got a lot of your own input, personality, sound, feel.
Oh yeah.
And so our versions of songs are our versions of songs. It's the song. It's true to the original artist, but it has a lot of our own influences in it.
Well, right. Just like you think about Chris Stapleton and Tennessee Whiskey. I mean, everybody's got their own twist on it. You've heard Bobby play live. You've heard him play Prince.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he puts his own spin on everything. He puts his own. I mean, that's. I think that's better than trying to mimic. It's.
Yeah. I can't agree more. And a big trend in the industry right now is for all these tribute shows and tribute bands. I mean, and they're just everywhere. Fargo is full of them every night, and some of them are great, some of them are not so great. But I would really be more excited to see a lot of these bands putting their own spin on things. It's great to cover other artists. I mean, there's so much.
Flattery is the highest form of
yeah, highest form of flattery is imitation.
Yeah, there we go.
But to do a whole show or have your whole band be around emulating someone else, not so much for me. Anyway.
Yeah, that just makes you a cover band. You did mention Fargo, so that you're out of Fargo for those who don't know.
Right. Yeah. Fargo, Moorhead. My store is in Moorhead in the East End Mall, and I live in Moorhead, but I can throw a rock to Fargo from my house. So I live right on the river.
No throwing rocks now.
Okay. Throw an old pair of drumsticks over there.
Only if they're already broken.
Right.
You can sell it otherwise.
Yep.
So the Blue Wailers, who are your band members? How did you decide to get together, and where have you played?
Yeah, well, it started with Randy Shrink and I, and then we added Marty Olson, Marty from the other band, and then we've added various bass players over time. We've played with a fellow named Denny Kingsley, who Denny has played with us up at Little Bobby's as a fill-in bass player. We played with Jeremy Cahill for a while, and Jeremy's a great bassist, just wonderful. Right now we're using a fellow named Tim Jorgensen, and he's as Swedish as his name sounds. And Tim's a marvelous bass player as well. And then early on, we added a guy. There was a guy who kept coming to all our shows and coming to all our shows and coming to all our shows. And he'd come up and visit with us, and he'd say, "Hey, you mind if I play harmonica? Can I play harmonica on a song?" And so we kind of gradually incorporated him in. And now that Bob Waters is a wonderful harmonica player, which if you're going to play Chicago blues, that's
you gotta have a harp in there.
Right. And so the two guitars, Marty and Randy, two vocals, Marty and Randy. I drive the train, sitting at the drum set, and Tim keeps us all in line, and Bob takes a lot of solos.
You don't happen to have an instrument handy, do you? I mean, I do encourage on the show, if you got something original and you want to, oh, hey, I just happen to have my guitar right here.
Yeah. Well, being a drummer, your listeners may not want to listen to me do my thing on my own. I'm in a store with about 100 drum sets right now, and walls of cymbals and percussion and stuff. So, but yeah, I don't know if I'm really the right band to entertain you guys.
Well, that's okay. How young were you when you got into music? What inspired you?
Well, I suppose I was 7 or 8 when I started piano, and then started drums at about 9 or 10. And by the time I was 15, I was working every weekend. At 15, I was playing 125 nights a year, Minnesota, North Dakota, Montana, South Dakota, Northern Iowa. And that was rough, because my parents said, well, yeah, we'll let you play, but your grades can't go down and you can't miss any school. Well, I was a straight A student, so I had a lot of pressure on me to produce.
You're smart and talented.
Well, my wife might not agree, but anyway, it was it was hard work and it was very tiring, but it was great. And then I went up to UND. I got out of high school a year early and went up to UND and was in the music program up there, and had a band that it was a garage band. Basically, we played a few churches and some other venues in on campus and stuff. And then came back to Jamestown. I didn't last more than a year going to college so young. And so then I ended up in a band. I think it was, that one was Fat Jack or something like that. We were a rock and roll cover band and a few blues songs mixed in and stuff. And then eventually I got married and didn't play much for a while, for 5-10 years.
Love kind of changes when you get a family.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. But one year my wife and I went to the Fargo Blues Fest, and I just caught on fire. I was watching all the drummers and I should be doing this. And so 4 years later, I was on the main stage at the Fargo Blues Fest leading my own band, and have played it many, many, many times with 3 different bands altogether. And been, playing bars and clubs and restaurants and parties and all kinds of stuff.
So at 15 years old, we're going to rewind here a little bit. What kind of venues are you playing at 15 years old? And who are you playing with? I
was playing with a band called Verl McDaniels and the Standby Blues. Not a blues band, that was just their name. Verl was a music teacher in Streator, North Dakota. His wife was in the band. He'd get a drummer and another horn player. And we played VFWs, Elks clubs, bars, supper clubs, restaurants, all over the place. And it was not legal for me to be doing that. But in the early 70s, things were a lot more relaxed than they are now.
Well,
and so, yeah, we were all over the place.
You weren't drinking, because as long as the venue has a kitchen, I think this law has been around quite a long time. As long as the venue has a full kitchen, minors are allowed.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah. And they have to be, there's certain places where you can be and where you can't be and things like that. But at my age of 15,
were they sneaking you alcohol?
No. Bars were just selling it to me. They were just serving it to me.
Oh, jeez.
It was that much of a different environment. There was one place in Bismarck. What was that place called? It burned down now, but it was a supper club, and the Morton County Sheriff, that was his hangout. So that was the only place where I didn't drink. But I don't like to drink and play at all anymore. I just don't. It's not. It's not conducive to driving the train at full speed.
Yeah. I get that. I'm not going to pull out any personal experiences. I've got plenty, but yeah, I can see how people can't control their consumption, and they get up there and they make the whole band sound bad, and it's unprofessional.
Yeah, and I've never.
So I mean.
Right.
Yeah, you're driving train.
Right. Yeah. And the drummer's got that very, very crucial job of making sure everybody's coming in, making sure the volume's right, making sure the tempo's right, the changes are in the right place. And so it's just not being Tappy McTapperson back there on the drums. It's there's a real
people don't understand that.
Yeah, there's a real art and a purpose to what you're doing. And you driving the train is the perfect metaphor for it.
Yeah. So who were your musical inspirations when you were growing up? Who made you feel like, okay, music is my thing, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life? And what bands inspired you?
Well, when I was a little kid, like 5, 6, 8, 4, I listened to my mom's music, And my mom was a lover of like Nat King Cole, Frank Sinatra, that kind of stuff. So I grew up listening to that kind of music and loved it and still do. And then as my individual tastes developed, it was a lot of rock and roll that people will remember because they're still listening to it, like the Rolling Stones. Um, Johnny Winter was huge for me. Uh, Johnny Winter led me to Muddy Waters, and then I was deep, deep, deep in the blues by that point, you know. But Led Zeppelin, another one, um, Janis Joplin.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
I was air drumming in the car one day to AC/DC, but I lost one of my air sticks out the window, so I had to switch to Def Leppard.
But I'm pumped.
Not jokes.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's pretty funny. Yeah, and see, like AC/DC, I mean, that's huge for a lot of people, and Kiss, but those bands never really were for me. I always was oriented more towards blues-driven and jazz-driven music.
You just feel it more.
Yeah.
They just, and that's one thing. I feel like when it comes to jazz and blues, it just has so much more feeling that I can relate to. I mean, I get there's this screamer music out there and there's this heavy metal out there that people are relating to. But I feel like in the jazz and blues, even you talk to little Bobby and like everybody is like a family,
Mm-hmm.
I have, since I've been here, I have felt more accepted than I have my whole life.
Nice. Yeah.
Just the camaraderie, the support, like it's like a big family.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's all music when you get to a commercial level is competitive.
Yeah.
And yet you do best when you're supportive of each other. And it's like one time I was backstage at a blues festival and Walter Trout was playing. Walter Trout, one of the best guitarists in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And he was ripping it up. Man, it was amazing. Well, Luther Allison was scheduled to go on next as the headliner, Bernard Allison's dad.
Mm-hmm.
And Luther's standing there. He's listening and Walter's just being totally amazing. And Luther all of a sudden said, "It's a good thing I'm different." And that's just it. We're all individuals with something unique to say, something unique to contribute. And we have to understand that. He knew he wasn't going to go out there and try to compete with Walter Trout. He was going to go out there and make another statement, another musical statement that came from Luther Allison and didn't really have anything to do with Walter Trout. And that was the perfect attitude. And I learned a lot just by listening to that one comment. You play with somebody that's you've admired all your life, or somebody it's just great. Don't be intimidated.
Learn.
Be part of the show. Learn, and make your own contribution. And then beyond that, the most important thing to learn is when to be quiet. A big part of music is listening.
Oh, absolutely.
And so you've got to, as a performer, you've got to learn to listen.
Yep. Because your ears don't work while your mouth is working. Well, that pretty much goes with anything. But yes, definitely, I've noticed as musicians go, if they already think they're the best, they're never going to learn anything. They're never going to grow. They're never going to go anywhere.
Right. No, you're exactly right. If your mind is already closed and you've already decided, hey, I'm the king, I'm the whatever. Where is the growth? Where's that going to come from? A bad experience where you learn that you're not the things you thought you were. That's what it's going to take. And why go there? Why not just always be ready to
Yeah,
listen and learn.
Just listen and learn, and instead of having to hit rock bottom. But that's part of being in the blues too, hitting what rock bottom at some point in your life, and
Right. And yeah, I think most of us have been somewhere in that neighborhood at one point or another. But yeah, failure is a great teacher.
So tell me about one of your favorite gigs. Where did you play? Who were you playing with?
Oh man, there's a place up in Calgary called the Blues Can, and it's a dive bar, and yet it's one of Canada's premier blues clubs. They have, I think it's about 8 shows a week in there, 7 nights a week, and Saturday afternoons. They get top name artists from all over the United States and Canada. And I played up there with Sean Holton, the Teardrops, as a fill-in drummer. Sean is Magic Slim's son.
Okay.
He's out of Omaha. He's won the International Blues Challenge. He's just an amazing musician and artist that does it for the love of his dad, who was one of the top blues guys that ever lived. And so, I got to play up there with Sean and just loved it. Amazing food, amazing people, huge crowds that understand and respect the blues, because that's what they're doing all night, every night. But it's a little tiny dive bar, and Calgary is a big, huge city. But there's that. But with Sean, I've done a couple others too. Did a headlined a blues fest in Saskatoon. It was in the winter, so it was in a hotel. And it was really nice, and we were the headliner, and we were getting ready to go up, and we were actually on stage at our instruments, waiting for the cue to start, and they had to evacuate the whole hotel because fire alarms were going off.
Oh no!
So we all went outside, and we're standing. It's raining with a little bit of snow mixed in, and cold. And I'm thinking, man, when we go back in, it's going to be done. Nobody's going to come back in. Well, it didn't last long. They had it shut down for about 15 minutes. Then they brought us all back in, and the whole place was still packed. It was great. Turns out there was just somebody smoking weed in the elevator shaft.
Oh no!
So they evacuated the whole
Oh my goodness!
But it didn't ruin the show. It just delayed it a few minutes, and that was great. That was a good place to play. A lot of the places that I've played that I really, really enjoyed were with Sean, because they're kind of historical places. There's a dive bar, a juke joint, I guess would be a better description, down in Tallahassee, Florida, where we played one time. And man, every table faces the stage. All the tabletops are painted with famous blues artists. The people who played there as they came up in their careers were people like Johnny Winter, Bob Margolin. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Magic Slim, Sean's dad, and all the walls are autographed and everything. That same tour, we ended up at a place called Terra Blues, I think it is, in Manhattan. And I remember before we went in there, Sean says to me, "Now, this is the most sophisticated blues audience in the world. Everything's got to be right." And they know. And so we went in and we played, and the same thing, the green room was full of autographs of, Mississippi Fred McDowell and just all kinds of people like that. It was really cool. And so we did that, and I really enjoyed it. It was right around the corner from the Blue Note in New York. And then about 2 years later, a year later, I think a year later, I was at the festival in Fargo, and young guy, what's his name? I'm bad with names. He's a brand new young blues artist, and he's touring the world right now. He's in his early 20s, and he reminded me of Robert Cray. And he did some songs that the Blue Wailers did, but did them differently than we do. And I ended up in a conversation with him, and told him all about my band, but then told him about doing fill-in work with Sean. And and I'm telling him this, and I'm telling him about playing that Terror Blues, and he looks at me, and he looks a little closer, and he looks a little closer, and he says, "Were you in Manhattan a year ago in May at that club?" And I go, "Yeah." He says, "Yeah, I was there. I saw you." And Solomon Hicks is his name. And so, and watch for that guy. And if you guys can ever get him up there,
Solomon Hicks. I'll
yeah.
write it down right now.
Yeah, don't hesitate. He is amazing and just one of the nicest people that you'd want to meet. But that really freaked me out that he was able to put together seeing me with Sean earlier.
That's awesome. It's awesome when people remember you, especially if it's a year later and they're going to shows like this whole time and they remember you specifically. You made an impact. That feels good, man.
Yeah. Other places like that's with Sean, and there's a lot of places I played with Sean that would fit in that, geez, what a great place to play thing. But with the Blue Wailers and with Wart Melon, the Fargo Blues Fest has been great. We've done that many, many times. But we used to play a venue like with great frequency called the Hodo.
Okay.
In Fargo, and the Hodo was in the Hotel Donaldson. It was open for a long time. They had blues and jazz, no TVs in the bar. It was a music bar. And it's since then, just in the last year or two, gotten bought out by the Blarney Stone. And they tried music for a while, and now they've quit. And so that's disappointing. But we were, as I say, one of the original house bands at the Hodo, and that was a great place to play. Wasn't huge, you'd maybe get 150 people in there, but everybody was there to see you, and they were dancing, they were standing on chairs. That was great.
So I do have a viewer question. We've only got a couple minutes left. We got about 3 minutes left, and there's a couple things I wanted to ask you. So what I was going to ask is if you've got any gigs coming up, and one of our viewers wants to know, do you have any CDs? She's a DJ with KBXE, and she loves playing locals on her radio show.
Right on. Our next gig coming up is actually the Fargo Blues Fest, which I just mentioned. And so we're looking forward to that. We've got some original music and we've got some rough tracks recorded, but we don't have a CD formalized yet. But when we do, I'll get it to you and you can get it to the caller. And before we go, I want to mention that in my store here, Drummer's Journey in Moorhead, we're going to have Todd Zuckerman from Styx. He's been the drummer with Styx for the last 30 years or so, on August 29th. And he'll be here in the evening. And that's a clinic for drummers who really want to get serious. And we had Todd once about 1.5 years ago. And one of the best drum educators in the world, aside from being one of the best drummers. So
wow, that
check
sounds
us
like
out for that.
You get a good turnout?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll sell out for sure.
Awesome.
We had Kenny Aronoff not too long ago, and we've had a few other folks that are, like speed metal drummers or, just totally different stuff from what we do. But
so at Drummer's Journey, you said that's in Fargo or Moorhead?
Moorhead.
It is
in the East End Mall.
Yeah. And that's where people can get any kind of drum equipment whatsoever. If you don't have it, they don't need it, kind of thing.
Well, they might need something we don't have, but we've got thousands and thousands of SKUs, in our store. We've got 100 drum sets set up and ready to play. from beginner level up to very expensive touring pro level. We build drums. We do custom building. Got all kinds of hand drums and cymbals and hardware, accessories, even drummer clothing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Drummer clothing. Wow.
Well, that's
something I'm going to have to look into.
That's a band T-shirt or a DW T-shirt or something like that. But, yeah.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to have to let you go. Mike, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I can't wait for you to make your way over this way again.
Yeah, we're looking forward to coming up and playing for you guys.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. We love you.
Right on.
All right. Talk to you later, Mike.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye. So that was Mike Carbone. He's just an awesome guy all around. Our next guest tonight, I should probably plug the bar and the Elvis show maybe. Don't ever let anybody tell you that Elvis is dead. He is alive and well and plays here at Little Bobby's once a month for the rest of the year. He puts on a great show. He's even got a little mini Elvis with him. If you caught the last episode of The Buzz, he was on here with his son. Oh, no, that was 2 episodes ago. But the next time he's going to be here is July 26th. That's a Friday at 7 p.m. August 31st, that's a Saturday. He'll be here at 5. September 28th, he'll be here on Saturday at 8 p.m. He will be here at Little Bobby's in McIntosh, Minnesota, 295 Cleveland Avenue Southwest. Come on out and have a good time. We've got music museum. We're a music venue. We've got great food and great entertainment. So my second guest this evening is the amazing, the wonderful, and Casey Frensz. How you doing, Casey? Long
Good. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Oh, wow. That's your studio. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're sitting in the control room here at Inner Groove. We just had a session, so it's a little bit of a mess right now. But
what studio isn't?
Well, mine when it's when I clean it.
So, for those of you that don't know who you are, I was going to just introduce you. You're a music teacher, you're a musician, a multi-instrumentalist, a producer now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have an extensive instrument collection. And I was thinking, we might need a whole hour to talk about all that.
Oh, I need a camera that I can move around if we're going to talk about all that. All the stuff's everywhere throughout the house. But I do. There's probably at least 100 instruments in this house.
So let's start at the top. What got you into music, Casey?
Man, my family listened to music a lot when we were driving around when I was a kid. And my mom and dad would sing along in the car. My mom sang me a lot of nursery rhymes when I was really little. So those are the musical memories I have with my family, but nobody else is a musician. So I don't think I really started to get that it was a game I loved until I had music class in school. And I always enjoyed it. And then in middle school, I had a choir teacher who was just wonderful, really wonderful. Taught us all the songs from the 60s and 70s, a lot of Beatles songs. He let me eat lunch in his room every day. And so me and a couple of my buddies sat in there and we would play guitar and we would sing. And that's when I really started to get hooked. Just wanted to play all the time.
So guitar was your first instrument?
Yeah. I asked my parents for a guitar when I was 8. So that's I'd had that for a little while, and then I started playing saxophone as soon as they let me in school as well. In the 5th grade, we could join band.
Oh, you were amazing at that too. One of my favorite memories of you is on stage with Bobby when he was playing Bad Girl.
Sure.
You can really rip that one out.
It's a good song.
Yeah. So you grew up in Whitefish Bay?
I did. Yes, Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin, just on the north shore of Milwaukee.
And let's see. I see Paradise by the Dashboard Light. See, so that's one of my favorite songs. And for some of my guests, I'll write little note cards. So I
Sure. And you wrote that on your note card?
I don't need a note card with you, honey. Remember?
Look at that. That's right. That's right. You got your article.
Yeah,
right.
you were in issue number 17.
That's right.
So I was just like scrolling through this and like that popped out.
Yeah, that was a special song. When I was little, I played. My dad loves baseball. He just loves baseball. I mean, my passion's music, his passion is baseball. And so he was coaching my little league teams. He always coached my sister's softball teams, like the whole while we were young. And I played a lot of baseball when I was a kid. Like instead of practicing guitar, I went out and played catch with my dad every day. And so that song was cool because there's the baseball announcer at the end. And I'm like 6 or 7 years old. And I remember my dad and I were sitting in the car. My sister was at her dance lesson. We were waiting for her to get out. And the song came on. He goes, "Oh, you got to check this out because there's a baseball announcer. And he's going to talk about the guy going around the bases." And I thought that was just so cool that there would be a baseball announcer in a song. I didn't understand the analogy or you know, kind of the illusion in the song at all. I just that charmed me as a child. So
that's one of my favorite songs to sing along to, actually.
It's a great song. You know, there's only one song like that. That's it.
Tell me about Brother John and Friends.
Oh, Brother John and Friends. We're going to be going down to Memphis in January. We won the Minnesota blues competition as a duo act. So we'll be going to the International Blues Challenge in Memphis. Brother John has a kind of blues rock band that I've been playing with for a long time. And a few years ago, we decided to start a duo. So just try to win this contest. That was one of our goals from the beginning, was to do this, but also to just kind of have the freedom to play all the different songs that we like without having to worry about teaching a whole band. And he's got a good ear, I've got a good ear, and it's a set where we can both be kind of free. So that's fun. I like to play acoustic guitar with Brother John and Friends. I sit on a cajon and play with my foot, just kind of keeping the beat the whole time. John will play guitars and harmonicas. I mostly play guitar. Sometimes I'll play some saxophone or various percussion, but we both do a lot of singing. Yeah, we had a little bit of success this year, so we're going to see how it goes for us in Memphis. We're just going to do our best. Yeah.
I'm so proud of you, man.
My
Like,
highest ambition is just to have a good time. You know,
right?
We just wanted to go. So we consider ourselves winners. We're really happy. We tried once before and didn't make it. So second time's a charm in this game.
Right.
I'm looking forward to seeing the acts from all the different places around the world. You know, I don't even really care too much how we do. We'll do our best. We'll play as well as we can, but I just want to be part of the festivities and go meet some musicians. I think it's going to be a great time.
Memphis is a great time. We've been down there a couple of times. I mean, I remember the first time I met you, I believe you were on stage, open mic at Wilepski's.
That's likely.
Are you still going to the blues night?
Yeah, you can find me. I'm at Shaw's every Monday night, which has got the same house band. That's Alan Kirk and George and Jason. So I'm pretty much always there. I don't skip that one ever. I'll head out to Wilepski's on Tuesdays when I'm feeling it, or if I got less of a busy week. Now in the summertime, I get a lot busier just playing. And I thought I was going to be recording a lot of music for people in the wintertime, but artists seem to just be busy when they're busy. So now that it's summer, everybody's getting in here too. In between their shows and tours, they got their stuff ready. So I haven't been into the Blues Saloon quite as much, but you can always find me at Shaw's on a Monday. I'm there every week.
Oh, awesome. Are you still teaching?
No, I'm not. Well, I teach privately. I've probably got 6 or 8 students that I see. I teach a free lesson here at Intergroove Studios every Thursday night. So if any of your listeners are in the Minneapolis area, you need a little drilling on your music stuff, come on down and give us a visit.
How do they get a hold of you?
Through our website, intergroovestudios.com, or on Facebook. You can find us Intergroove Studios in Minneapolis. But yeah, every Thursday night, there's a nice community lesson here. So I still get to do some teaching then. Have a nice group of people from around the neighborhood, students of all ages, all skill levels. It's a really cool opportunity to get the neighbors together and play together.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I wish we lived down in that area. That would just hanging out with you. We were down there, was it last year, I think, and got to hang out with you for a few days.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yep.
That was a lot of fun. So you're recording for people now? Are you producing?
Yeah, I opened the studio about almost 2 years ago now. It'll be 2 years in August. So I bought this house 3 years back. I had a nice basement that I planned to build a studio in just for myself. Right around that same time, I didn't get brought back to my teaching job. So
Mm.
I said, screw it, we're transitioning. I was pretty angry at the school district. I was just bitter about it. So I started a business. I built the studio out proper to be able to have other artists in here. And we've got there's a second room behind me that's got a drum set, always mic'd up, plenty of amps. We got a Hammond organ. We got a Fender Rhodes in there. Lots of good instruments. There's, pretty good room for a basement. So I've been quite busy making stuff for my friends, local artists, and myself as well. Now I can be much more ambitious with my personal projects. Things go a lot faster. My workflow is really enhanced. So
So if somebody comes to your house and knocks on the door, you're probably not even gonna hear it.
well, it depends on what I'm doing, but
So I imagine you spend a lot of time down there.
yes, I'm definitely in the basement a little bit too much. You can see I'm still all pasty white, even though it's we got Maceo coming to pay a visit. Even though it's been summer and sunny, I'm sitting down in the basement mixing all the time or doing work like that.
It's great it's awesome. You get to do what you love, It just, hello, kitty.
Here he comes. He'll come say hi.
So,
Maceo and Fred are the two house cats named for the Horny Horns, of course. So they love the music. They like all the bands that come through.
oh, that's awesome. Like some animals are like kind of skittish around like strangers or like loud music or stuff like that. That's you found the right pets.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Oh.
So you said you've got some projects going on right now, stuff in the works. You got some songs.
I have, a new record personally that's like just about done. I popped the CD in my CD player and I'm taking my final set of notes for like last, really picky fixes before I let it out into the world. But I've been working on this one for a long time. I actually started it years ago. I've got a rock opera. It's beautiful. It's called Captain Queso and the Intergalactic Battle of the Bands.
That sounds amazing.
Yes, Captain Queso is Earth's funkiest star captain. He's got a cool ship that works as both a ship in the sea and a spaceship. And so he's out traveling the cosmos with his crew when he gets a call from the intergalactic overlord, who lets him know that he's become bored of the local music. So he's hosting a battle of the bands for all the greatest bands in the cosmos to find out who the greatest talent is. So Queso flies over to the center of the universe and meets up with 4 other bands from across the galaxies to duke it out in a battle, and we'll find out,
Oh, there better be a video that goes with this.
That everybody has told me the same thing, and there will be as soon as I can get to it. I've probably spent 1,000 hours getting the record made. I did everything myself. I played all the instruments, wrote all the music, mixed and mastered it. So it's just been a huge amount of work. The story deserves to be performed or have a video or be a high school musical or something of that ilk. It would lend itself well to it, but the music's just going to come first. You'll have to imagine it for now. And then we'll work on that once there's some money and time.
You're so descriptive with it. I can pretty much see it. I mean,
that's the goal. That was the goal when I made the music. I wanted to create something that really had a story. Most of my records have been concept albums, but this one has a clear, linear story that goes from beginning to end with characters. And if you sit and close your eyes, you can go on a little adventure with me for a while. And we live in an era with a lot of 30-second, short form content. And that's not my style. I'm probably fighting a losing battle, but I made something long and beautiful and complete and detailed, and I'm really proud that that's what I'll be putting out.
I know. I've noticed that there's nobody has any type of attention span anymore. They want to see all these little 15-second reels, 30-second video clips and stuff like that. People need to get more focused and find what they really love and adopt that, spend your time on that instead of all this 10, 15, 20-second garbage that is just filling our head with trash,
It's so appealing, you know, they give you something that you like, you get that little dopamine rush, and then it's time for the next one. But, yeah, you can burn hours that way, and what if you were sitting and playing your guitar or, you know, writing or just taking a walk? So that's something we focus on in our Thursday night lessons too, is being present with each other and getting in the zone, you know, getting everybody to sit and drill a simple rhythm for 20 minutes because we could all use it. Even those of us who are very good, we can still use it. And I think it's good. It can help you reflect to not just have this constant swirl of different stimulus coming in, but do one thing.
Hmm. Oh, sorry, that's me, huh? So you've got a lot of new material. And obviously this one was your favorite, and it was your baby. What was the hardest thing you ever had to write?
To write, man, I mean, a lot of the stuff I've written has probably come from a place of pain.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to write sometimes when you're, or maybe not easier, but I get very inspired when I'm really emotionally like lost and confused and kind of most wrecked.
Hmm.
That's when I have to get the pen on the page to like figure it out and get the feeling that's inside out of me. Um, I don't know how to answer your question. Writing the songs often is easy for me. It's finishing them that's hard. You know, the ideas always come fast, and then a song may be really like easy or really difficult once I have this feeling, this vibe, this story that I want to convey to the listener. Like, how do you turn that into a sound that's going to, you know, come through speakers that people are going to hear that captures the emotion? Um, Certain songs have been a real issue, just like getting the parts right, getting the balance, getting the mix right so that the emotion gets conveyed properly. Um, in terms of previous work, uh, Black Hole is a very long song that I put out a few years ago. And that was a behemoth project just because it's over 20 minutes long and has lots and lots and lots of parts. So getting it all put together properly was a huge challenge. Um, I have some songs that incorporate like tempo changes throughout. You know, those are difficult for me to record by myself. When I'm working alone, I can usually use a click track to just line everything up. If I want to get things that have ebb and flow, it's harder to do. So, as I've progressed in some of my personal production, those are challenges I set up for myself, playing with time, doing things like that. Poco a Poco on Identity Games was a difficult track. Re-entry on Captain Queso, the first Captain Queso record, was the most difficult track to get made. I know which one was the bear for me on each album to finish. This current one, it's the intro and the Parade of Cosmic Bands were both probably over 100 hours into getting just each one of those songs done. Because there's a lot of parts and a lot going on, and I wanted to get it just right. So I don't know if that answers your question. But
It does. It does. You're gonna have to send me some links to a lot of this.
um,
You are just such a talented musician in composing all of this. I mean, I've seen Bobby do this. It's not an easy thing to do. Sit and play all the instruments yourself, come up with all of it yourself, and put it to. I mean, you guys are masterminds. I don't know how you do it.
the hardest part is the time it takes.
I can barely talk on a podcast.
I I think you could imagine it too. I believe that you have songs that you can imagine in your head, and they probably sound really good. You know, the hard part is like doing it right. You know, that's it's a lot.
Sounds like in your head.
It's a lot of repetition. It's a lot of practice. It's a lot of just like refusing to settle and doing it again. The hardest part is the tenacity. There's like maybe a single trumpet line that I had to try 250 times before I got it right. You know, and I think the average person probably gives up before 250 times. I'm not better. You know, if I got a really great trumpet player in here, they could probably do it in 5 times and it would be easier for them. But I just don't quit. Most of the artists I know who have high output, it's the same way. They just don't quit. You know, when a regular person might give up, they stick it out. Um, a lot of the art I've put out over the years, also, it's got problems with it. It wasn't perfect. I made it the best I could at the time, and now I can make something better. But I didn't stop that from making me finish the projects. You know, the things I made in 2015, 2016, 2017, they represent my skill then, and they don't sound as good as the stuff I made now, but I'm not ashamed of having gotten it done.
Right. It's growth.
Right.
Do you have, you've got CDs out, or is it all digital?
I've got a couple CDs. I can send people CDs if they want to. They can order those through the Inner Groove website as well. But all of my music's available on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, wherever you listen. If you look for my name, Casey Frensz.
Well, you know, I know this guy that has this radio show.
Yeah, you know a guy?
I do.
Oh. Well, yeah, he should be playing some of it probably.
Well, you should send it to him then.
I can do that.
Yeah. And I know there's a lady I had on the show not long ago who is a DJ at a local radio station. She loves spinning original stuff too.
Cool.
Like,
cool. Well, I'll send some materials your way. I'm especially this new material. Like, it sounds so much better than anything I've made before. I've learned a lot on the back end. I've learned a lot about mixing, and I built a studio. I can hear better. My tools are better. You know, so I really have achieved a finer quality of recording than I've gotten before. I'm excited to share this stuff with people.
I can't wait to hear it. I mean, you listen to any artist, like their first works compared to their later works, you can tell there's growth there. You can tell there's improvement, but that doesn't mean their old stuff is bad.
No, the songs I don't think are necessarily any better than songs I wrote when I was a kid. I can just do them better. You know, like the performance is more refined, the recording's more refined. I'm a better musician. But a good song is a good song. It's a story, you know.
Yep. And it's all about practice too. The longer you're around, the more you're going to practice, the better you're going to get, regardless.
But when I was, 18 and writing, there were things I could only capture then that I could never write now because I don't feel that way anymore. I'm not the same person, and it's wonderful to have a song that was made the only time it could be.
Yep, absolutely. Like they say that it takes 7 years for all the cells in your body to regenerate. So every 7 years, you're a new person.
Well, look at that.
Oh. So what is? Tell me something about these exciting instruments you have. You've got some very unique instruments from very special places.
Sure. I got everything normal, that you'd expect to find around a studio: guitars and amps and drums. My percussion sections where I have the most interesting things from around the world. I've got these wonderful frame drums that I ordered from Pakistan that are huge. One of them's 30 inches across. One of them's 38 inches across. So they sound a lot like timpani. I mean, they're very, very big drums, probably only about 2 inches wide or deep. Skin on one side, big goat skin. I love those. I use those in a lot of my work. They just sound like magnificent, super deep bass, really clear tone to them. I have a gong. I've got a 34-inch chow gong from China. Sounds wonderful. I like to put that in my recordings. I've got a sitar that I've had 4 of them. This one's finally the one I've settled on because it's a good one. Sings beautifully, has great sympathetic resonance. Got a nice Celtic harp that a local builder named Pat O'Loughlin made. Beautiful instrument. I find all this stuff on like Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. Just people, they want to clear something out of their house. And if it's undervalued or I've got the money for it, I snatch it up whenever I can. I have a Chinese hammered dulcimer called a guqin, and then another Chinese harp called a guzhong. And I tablas. I got stuff from all over the place. All kinds of things. A lot of wacky oddball stuff. There's cool synthesizers here. I like to learn to play it. When I have a tool, I want to find the place to put it. That's the inspiration for me. I find this sound that I like. Maybe I hear it in a recording first and it's something I have to have, or maybe it's just a goofy instrument I find. And then I write something to put it in there, like where does the sound go? And I try to find the right place for it. If I don't ever use something, then I've got lots of students. So I pass on an instrument to a student who might use it because I don't like when they just sit unplayed. I think that doesn't suit the instrument's spirit. I don't think that makes them happy.
Right. So what is your favorite instrument to play? Like when you go out to...
That's not a fair question.
Huh?
It's not a fair question, but I'll give you a couple answers. If the band is really good, if there's a great rhythm section, a great band, I love to play the saxophone because I feel free. My chops are the best on it. I can like really go. If the rhythm section's not good, I want to be in the rhythm section to make it better. So I want to play drums or bass. And those are also really, really fun jobs because they're so active. If you're the drummer, you play like essentially every note of every song. You're moving, you're feeling it. A lot of times you're playing something simple, really repetitive, but like saxophone, I might stand around for half the song or play a couple little hits or backgrounds. And then I have to rip a solo and play all the notes at once.
Mm.
Sometimes it's really a lot more like suitable to the mood I'm in to be a drummer or be a bassist and be part of the groove. Because I'm a really groove oriented player. So that feels really good to me too. Focusing on, kind of the character of each note and just letting something ride or pump. I love to play guitar, but I play very little because there's so many guitar players, around town. So there's just not a lot of need for me to do it. People are good too. A lot of good guitar players out there. But I would probably be happy if I was playing maybe a little more. I don't know.
Yeah, you're pretty groovy. You're pretty groovy. I get that. You're pretty groovy dude, man. So, what was your favorite gig that you've played?
There's a festival in Appleton, Wisconsin called Mile of Music. I'll be going back out there in the first weekend of August, not to play, but to teach, which is one of the really cool aspects of it. There's a music education team that just has all these lessons for the public during this huge street festival with thousands of people out on the street. But I was going to college in Appleton when that started for year one of the festival. And now I think it's on its 11th year. And it's just really, really grown and taken off. The community's embraced it. It's done very well. So it was fun to watch that one from its get-go. And I've been associated with it in some way every year, either as a performer or as a teacher. So there's been a couple performances at that where local crowd has known me and the bands I've been a part of really well. I've gotten to play for some big audiences, but it's just that's always kind of a homecoming type of show for me. Something that I've been going back to every year for 11 years. So looking forward to going there this year, seeing what it's like. That's probably been a lot of my favorite playing experiences. Another really a highlight that sticks out, when I was in college, my band opened for the band Guster, who I liked a lot in high school. So that was kind of cool to get this opportunity to open for a band I enjoyed a lot. And that was at the Moorhead Theater in Indianapolis, which is like a big Egyptian themed theater.
Oh.
So that's probably the coolest venue I've ever gotten to play at. Humphreys McGee recorded a live album there in 2007. They're one of my favorite bands. So it's kind of neat when we got put on that bill. Like, it's like, oh, I've listened to a record from this place, like over and over and over again. I'm going to get to be on the stage. So that also sticks out in my memory for that reason.
Any specific people you loved playing with?
Oh, man. And I've loved playing with all the musicians I have, been blessed and had the opportunity to play with. Everybody's so different. People bring different things to the game. Lately, I got to give credit to Alan Kirk and George Moyer and Jason Medeiros. They've been my teachers and mentors since I moved to the cities, and to have a couple old guys who've been playing. Well, Jason's not that old yet, but older guys who've been playing their whole lives. They really know what they're doing, and they're very willing to be open, to teach, to share. They're friendly and warm. I consider it a real blessing just to get to play with them. I look forward to continuing to play with them as long as they're doing their thing.
Oh, Ellen and George are the best. Oh, and I do have a viewer comment.
Yeah.
From little Bobby himself. Hey, Casey.
Hey, Bobby.
So when are you going to come up here?
Oh man, I don't know. It's probably going to have to be like end of August or later, because I'm all booked up through the next 2 months here. But I'll see you again sometime, I'm sure.
Well, maybe we'll just have to make it down there, because I don't get out much, and I feel like when I do finally get out, I'm going to be wilding out, because I never leave anymore. My car is broken, but we're getting that taken care of. You should talk to Bobby. I guess he's doing something for my birthday next month.
Well, good. He should.
Well, I'm going to be 50, so.
Oh. No.
Yeah.
No, I can't believe it. You 50? No.
Well, that's what my driver's license says.
Oh, you don't look a day over 35.
Yeah, thank you. You're so sweet. I think I've got about 60 seconds left. One more time, how can people get a hold of you if they want lessons, if they want to record, they
Sure.
just want to come chill out?
If you look for me, Casey Frensz, you can find I've got a personal website, caseyfrensz.com. Just make sure you get an S before the Z. That's kind of the goofy thing in my name. Otherwise, my business, Inner Groove Studios, right here in Northeast Minneapolis. You can visit us at innergroovestudios.com or on Facebook.
All right. Well, it was great talking to you, Casey. I miss
good to see
you,
you,
man. You're just one of the coolest cats Bobby's introduced me to. I've met a lot of them here in the last 3 years.
Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
No problem. Well, I guess we're gonna wrap up the show here. This has just been so much fun. I want to thank all of the guests I've had so far, all the viewers that have been tuning in. Really appreciate all your support. And come on out to Little Bobby's in McIntosh, Minnesota, and we'll feed you. We'll let you go through the museum. We've got some vinyl for you. We've got a website. We've got obviously a podcast. Little Bobby's got his own radio show every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Yeah, there it is. See, look at that. And we've got a great producer. Little Bobby's got some music videos coming out pretty soon, so stay tuned for those. And I'm going to say ta-ta for now. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Macho,